Hi everyone, this is Lainie Sevante Wulkan, and welcome to Zeta Global Radio. We're here today speaking to the spirits and getting different perspectives on connecting to the other side. We have two extraordinary guests, Candace Thomas and Garnet Schulhauser. Welcome back to Zeta Global Radio. I am Lainie Sevante Wulkan, and if you're just tuning in, today we're talking about speaking to the spirits and getting perspectives on what and how it is to connect to the other side. We were just speaking to Candace Thomas, who is a psychic medium and healer and life coach, and she gave her perspectives, of course, on being a psychic medium herself, as well as teaching workshops on how you as an individual can be your own medium. And in this second half of the show, I'm very excited to speak to a wonderful man. He's an author and from Victoria out there on Vancouver Island. His name is Garnet Schulhauser. He's a retired lawyer. And after graduating from law school, he practiced corporate law for over 30 years with two blue chip law firms. Not one, but two blue chip law firms in Calgary. And when he retired from his firm in 2008, he began his new career as an author, and we will get into further discussion about the books, Dancing on a Stamp and Dancing Forever with Spirit, directly from him. Welcome to the show, Garnet Schulhauser.
Oh, hi, Lainie. Thank you for inviting me.
Sure, thank you. I was excited to learn about your work. I was able to get your books here, and so of course, today the topic is talking to the other side, whether that be talking to God, talking to Spirit, talking to heaven, talking to whatever you want, you or they want to coin what it is to talking to the people who've transitioned in our life. So let's talk a little bit about who you are, besides being a retired lawyer, and what made you kind of move into this new facet of your life and how that will affect others.
Well, it came as an unexpected event for me, Lainie. I was still practicing laws back in 2007. It was one sunny afternoon in May, and I decided to take a stroll down the street just to get some fresh air. And all of a sudden, seemingly out of nowhere, a homeless man just jumps out in front of me. And he looked very much like a typical homeless person with greasy hair, scraggly beard, dirty, slept-in clothes. And instead of exercising my usual tactic when I encountered these people doing a quick sidestep around, I just stood there because this man was quite different. He had these amazing, dazzling blue eyes, and his eyes were penetrating. His gaze was penetrating. I felt like he was looking right into right through me, right into the depths of my soul. And I sensed that he knew everything about me, everything I'd ever said or done in my life. He knew my hopes and aspirations and my fears and anxieties and my deepest and darkest secrets. And I don't know why he would have known this about me, because we'd never met before. But I didn't feel violated, because instead, at the same time, his gaze was sending me this wave of pure, unconditional love that was just infusing my whole body with an amazing sense of peace, security, well-being, a feeling I've never, ever had before, Lainie. It was just quite amazing. So I stood there like a deer caught in the headlights, and it was like I was in a time warp, because I don't know how long I stood there until he sort of broke the spell by saying to me, "Why are you here?" And then he promptly disappeared into a nearby store. Well, I went in the store to try to find him, walked up and down on that street to see if I could spot him anywhere. He wasn't to be seen, so I resolved that evening that the next day I'd go back to the same street to try to find him. So I went back, same street, same time, walked up and down. Finally, I found him sitting on a bench all by himself. So I walked up to him and I said, "Who are you, and why did you stop me the other day?" And he said, "I'm a soul just like you. I'm here to answer your questions and help you with your journey." And so that was the beginning of a dialogue that I had with this man that went off and on for the next several months. And I found out early on that he was actually one of my spirit guides in disguise. His name was Albert, and he had come to answer my questions and help me, but he'd also come to ask me to write a book about his revelations so that other people could have access to the truths that he relayed to me. And so that was the beginning of the dialogue. It went on, as I said, for several months. At the end of that, I wrote the manuscript for my first book, Dancing on a Stamp, and that was the culmination of my first meeting with this wise spirit named Albert.
Wow. So, okay. Woo, that's a lot to take in. So let me ask you two things. First off, prior to this meeting with Albert, were you ever in the spiritual path? Were you consciously awake? Was this something that was completely foreign to you, or you were really familiar with talking to, anybody who can be potentially an angel or a spirit? Or is this completely like your step into the awakening process?
Prior to this, I had no contact with the spirit world at all. And so this was sort of the very first experience. I was, just to give you a bit of background, I was raised as a Roman Catholic, so we were a very religious family, but in my 20s and 30s I started to reject a lot of their beliefs, and then I was sort of in no man's land, and I kept on asking myself life's eternal questions like, who am I, why am I here, what's my life's purpose, and what happens to me when I die. And I was looking for a new set of beliefs that I could really latch onto that really made sense to me. So Albert showing up in my life was really the spirit world's response to my questions, and he appeared to me as the homeless man and to answer my questions. So before that, I had no contact with the spirit world. I wasn't even sure. I probably wasn't even aware I had spirit guides. He tells me he's one of, I currently have 3 guides, and he's described to me sort of what guides do, and so that all makes sense to me. But before that, it was, I was just sort of somebody searching for answers.
Okay, so the conversations that you had, and we'll get into those a little bit more because this really ties into, of course, what we're talking about today. But what is the meaning of dancing on a stamp? What is that? How's the title referenced?
Well, it was at one point during our dialogue, I happened to be complaining to Albert about something that wasn't going right in my life. And Albert said to me, he says, think of your life on earth as though you're in the middle of a big, beautiful ballroom. The hardwood floors are gleaming. There's a dance. The band is playing amazing dance music. Everyone around you is dancing and swirling around the whole beautiful ballroom. But he said, you spend too much of your time on one spot, like you have leg shackles on. And he said, you need to break out of your shackles and quit dancing on a stamp. And so that phrase stuck in my mind. And when the time came for me to find a title for my first book, I asked Albert, would that be a good title? And he said, yes. So that's the title, Dancing on a Stamp.
And I can really envision that. I mean, I think about a stamp on an envelope. You have all the surface area, but then you have this one little spot, and it's almost like, are you going to stay confined to your own little world, or are you going to expand to the greater world and beyond? And that's how I'm envisioning it when I think about your title and what you have to say in this great book of yours.
Yeah, that's exactly right, and it really made sense to me because it was really like he wanted me to break out of my box, out of the little world I was living in, and expand my horizons and do different things. And so that was his word. His term of it was that I was just dancing on a stamp. I needed to break out and dance over the whole ballroom, which I've been trying to do, and I think I have since meeting Albert, because my life has really changed dramatically since then, and I think I'm making a great effort to dance around the whole ballroom, Lainie.
Oh, I love it. I think you are. All right, so let me ask you. So you met this spirit guide, as he told you, and it's a lot to process for someone who's just being kind of exposed to this world. And then did you have a lot of questions for him, or were you more of like a conscious observer, a listener of what he wanted to share with you? And then, of course, my first question I have, does he speak about where he comes from in heaven and what happens to our loved ones and all that? So kind of give us a play-by-play of, what the conversations ensued from your first meeting with him.
Yeah, for the most part, it was the dialogue was me asking Albert questions and him giving me his answers, which often went on for a long time, and then sometimes he would throw in things that he wanted me to write about. But in short terms, his main revelations were: look, we're all eternal souls who were created by the Source or God. We form part of the Source, and the reason that we came here, the reason that we all came here incarnated on Earth, was because we wanted to learn and experience things on the Earth plane that we needed for our evolution as souls. So before we came here, we all resided on the spirit side or the other side or heaven, and that's really our true home, where we are beings of energy. And it was our choice to come here. No one made us come here. And before we came, we all prepared a life plan, and the life plan set out the major circumstances of our proposed new lives, and we set out the plan so that we could learn what we wanted to learn and experience the challenges that we needed for our evolution. And so in our life plan, we would put in things like the place we're born, the first language we would learn, our names, the identity of our parents, siblings, friends, spouses, and that sort of thing, sort of the major blueprint of what we propose for our lives. But he said our lives are not predetermined, because once we're born, as you know, Lainie, we don't remember that we have a life plan, and we certainly don't remember what we had planned before we were born. And because we have free will to take actions and make decisions, we sort of like stumble along sort of somewhat blindly, trying to find our way through life without really knowing where exactly we had intended to be going. And that's just part of the challenge of a life on Earth, and it's just that's part of being a human on our planet.
So is it supposed to be that way, that the true life plan is not disclosed, or are there keys to unlocking that kingdom, whether that's reconnecting all 12 strands of your DNA, or opening up your Akashic records, or speaking to a medium who can tell us divine wisdom from an angel? Are those steps in giving us those secrets to the life plan, or are we not supposed to know our true life plan, but to just kind of walk through the experiences?
Well, we're not supposed to know every little detail that we have planned, but we do get glimpses of, some people will get glimpses from communications with the spirit side, or through readings with the medium. Sometimes people will get, whispers and nudges and messages from their guides. Well, we all get those messages. Some people are better at hearing them. And so we get little glimpses of it. Well, we don't get the full plan. And it's intended that we never get the full plan, because that would make things way too easy for us, Lainie. And so life on Earth is intended to be a difficult challenge. And if we knew exactly what we had planned beforehand, it would just be too easy. So it's never intended that we know the whole picture. But we can get glimpses of it here and there. And some people are better at that than others, but it's all, it's a struggle to varying degrees for all of us on this planet.
Absolutely agreed. So I think the number one question people would ask is there truly a heaven? Is there truly another side? And, is there proof of it that we know that our loved ones, once they transition, are in a good place and we will see them again?
Yeah, absolutely. Albert says that there's absolutely no question when our physical bodies die, our souls transition back to where we came from, the spirit side or heaven. And he says it's a wonderful place, a very happy place, no negative emotions. Everything is, virtually perfect compared to life on Earth. And he said there's no exceptions. Everyone goes there, no matter what you did. So even if you did some really bad things, you still end up on heaven, because there is no hell. And so that's the only place you can go. And furthermore, because he said the source doesn't make rules for us to follow, contrary to what a lot of organized religions tell us, the source doesn't make rules for us to follow. When we pass over, there is no judgment and there is no punishment, no matter what you did. So we all end up back in this beautiful place. So no question about it, all of our loved ones who have passed on, they're on the spirit side in a very, very happy place, having a joyful existence, and they're very well looked after.
Wow. We're going to take a break and come back with a lot more with Garnet Schulhauser and talking about his books, Dancing on a Stamp and Dancing Forever with Spirit. I am Lainie Sevante Wulkan, and we will be right back. A Grandmother's Nurturing Prayer for Humanity. Hi everyone, Sevante here from ZGR, and it's an honor to bring you a compilation CD featuring renowned woman of prayer, Grandmother Florida Mayo, with music curated and reimagined by ZGR's own Howard Wulkan and composer Nick Johnson. It's a special and heartwarming experience, one like no other, released in time for the holidays. There's no better gift than bringing a gift of song and prayer to one's heart. To order a digital or physical copy that includes a special sacred plant meditation oil, go to floridamayo.bandcamp.com. That's floridamayo.bandcamp.com.
Hi, I'm psychic medium Candace Thomas, and on Sunday, December 6th, I'll be hosting an event in Albuquerque to allow you to connect with your loved ones in spirit. The afterlife is real. Your loved ones in heaven can see you, are with you, and want to support you the best way they can. You receive signs and messages from them on a regular basis, though you may not recognize it. So join me at this special event where I will deliver those healing messages from your loved ones in spirit in a group setting. And before we close during our event, I'm also going to show everyone who attends how to connect with their loved ones in spirit and take them through an actual exercise where you can connect with your beloved animals, friends, and loved ones on the other side and receive the healing messages and grace. Join us from 1 to 3 on Sunday, December 6th. In Albuquerque, the cost to attend is $30, and more information is available at www.CandiceThomasIntuitive.com.
Welcome back to Zeta Global Radio, and we are here today talking to Garnet Schulhauser and what it is to be having one life, one day, working your 9-to-5 job, having a blue-collar, white-collar career, and then suddenly you meet your spirit guide. And what would you do? What would you even believe that it's true? Well, we're talking to Garnet, and that's exactly what happened to him. And we are finding out what this homeless man named Albert, who was actually his spirit guide, is revealing to Garnet, who's sharing in his books, Dancing on a Stamp and Dancing Forever Spirit, and what those beautiful guidelines and advice and suggestions and insights can and will pertain to our lives. So take it away, Garnet. I know where we first left off, we were just talking about that there truly is a heaven, and the ones that have transitioned so far are in a happy place, and that's really great to hear. Is there any more insight that we can garner from knowing about this other place? Because there's always still that fear around death and dying, and I want to kind of bring sort of the levity into that space so people can have more peace in their lives, not only for themselves but for the ones that have gone before them.
Yeah, I mean, everyone should take great comfort in knowing, and I'm absolutely firmly convinced that everyone passes over to the spirit side, because I actually went there to visit the spirit side on one of my subsequent encounters with Albert. He took me on a series of astral adventures, astral travels. So I was out of body with him, and he actually did take me to the spirit side. So I've seen it with my own eyes. A beautiful place.
Oh.
I hooked up with in my very first meeting. I met with my mother and father and brother and grandparents and various aunts and uncles who had passed away. I know they're there. They're definitely alive and well and very happy. And so I had an encounter with them. So people shouldn't have any doubt whatsoever that that's where your loved ones went, and that's where you will go when you die. And don't get too concerned about the mistakes you make, or if you make wrong turns on Earth, because you can never go wrong and become lost. You're always going to end up back there. And you'll look back, when you finish your life, you look back at your life here as an adventure, a learning experience to help you with your evolution, and you'll go from there and you'll plan your next incarnation, or just hang around the spirit side if you like. So there's a pleasant ending for everyone when our lives end. And so I'm absolutely convinced, and I've seen it with my own eyes, Lainie.
Well, I am... First off, I'm thrilled. And secondly, I think this is excellent and good and bad news for a lot of people. Bad news is, because that's showing us, based on what you're saying, is that there's been a little of a facade going on in organized religions, teaching us a lot of fear about sin and going to hell and this, that, and the other. If all of that was are essentially made up, or that's just all part of the process of the journey here. And then, of course, the good news is that we all are enlightened beings, and we all are moving forward towards a very happy ending in the end of things. So I think either way you can't win, but I do believe, especially on our show here at Zeta Global Radio, which is completely spiritual and conscious and allows people, whether they're just kind of coming into their path or they've been walking their path for so long, that allows them sort of that settling feeling that, oh, they're on the right track. Because what you said is so confirming that you yourself have had this experience, which I think you might even need to explain possibly to our audience what astral travel is and how he took you there, because that might, to some they'd understand it, to others they may not. So I don't know if maybe you could touch on that just a little bit more in detail.
Sure. Well, how it happened, as I said, my first encounter with Albert was a dialogue, and after the first 3 visits, he no longer appeared in physical form, but we spoke by telepathy. And so it was really a question and answer, and he was just a voice in my head. Then he disappeared from my life for a little while, and then all of a sudden one night I woke up in my bedroom, and they're standing in the doorway was this ghost-like ethereal figure. And as it moved closer to me, I could see it was Albert, but he was in astral form. So, in astral form, you're just sort of you're pure energy. You don't have any physical attributes. You can pass through walls and ceilings and so on. And so he said to me, I've come to take you on a series of out-of-body adventures because I want to take you to the spirit side and other places in the universe so that you can write about what you see, because I believe a picture is worth 1,000 words. And so then he just literally, he reached out and he grabbed my astral arm, pulled my astral body out of my physical body, and I turned around and looked, and my physical body was still sound asleep in bed. And so then he said, come on with me, and he just rose up. I followed him. We rose up through the ceiling and up through the clouds and on our way to the spirit side. And when my first adventure was over, he brought me back to my bedroom. My astral body slipped back into my physical body, and the next thing I remember was waking up the next morning in bed with a very vivid and clear memory of everything I'd seen on my astral trip. So that's how astral traveling was to me. Never done it before, but Albert always sort of orchestrated these travels with me, and he was basically my tour guide. So that's how I began the astral trips, and I had a number of them with him, which were detailed in my second book, Dancing Forever with Spirit. And then there was another set of astral adventures, which is described in my third book, Lainie, which is Dance of Heavenly Bliss, which will be released in early 2016. So I had a number of adventures with Albert.
This is phenomenal. Well, first off, before we go any further, how can people get a hold of these great books that you're talking about?
Okay, the best source of information is my website, which is garnetschulhauser.com. That's hard to remember, but if you Google dancing on a stamp, you'll get to my website. On my website, there's information about my books. You can download free excerpts, watch book videos. I have buy links there to all the popular online bookstores like Amazon and Barnes & Noble, and you can just click on those and get right to where you can buy my books. And a lot of bricks and mortar stores have my books, but if your favorite store doesn't, they can order it for you. And you can also dial into my social media sites for my website, like Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, sure. YouTube. And on YouTube, I have recordings of all the radio shows I've been on. And this one, Lainie, is number 72 for me. So if people want to sort of explore my other interviews, they're all on YouTube.
Wow. 72, that's a 9. That's completion. I mean, we're big into numbers around here. I love that. And, of course, we'll also have information on the books as well on our Facebook page on Zeta Global Radio. And you can also go to our website and our BBS page. We have lots of ways to learn about our guests and take part in what they do. Do you ever do workshops, Garnet, and travel around, or more about book signings, or how do people see you in person?
Well, I did do a series of book signings in early 2013. I haven't scheduled any other ones. I've spoken twice at the Ozark Mountain Transformation Conference in 2013 and then last July. I haven't done any workshops yet, although that's something certainly on my list of things to do. And I've been mainly focusing on doing radio shows to get word out about what Albert has told me and about my books. So that's my main avenue of contact right now. But I will be speaking again at the 2016 Ozark Mountain Transformation Conference in April of this year. And I'm also speaking at a conference in Seattle in early June of next year as well. And I'll post details of these on my website as we get closer.
Awesome. And do you have any audiobooks at this point?
Yeah, Dancing on a Stamp is in audiobook form right now. The second book has not yet been made into an audiobook. I expect it will at some point. And, of course, both books are available in ebook and paperback versions.
Terrific. Well, we have just a few minutes left, and I'm wondering, have you thought or have you asked specifically, Albert, why he chose you out of anybody that morning on the street?
Yeah, I did. He said that he and I had planned this all before I incarnated, although I don't remember it, of course. He said that it was decided by not just Albert but some of the other spirits over there that he should make this contact with me, and I was chosen because I'd had some previous incarnations where I had some writing experience, so they thought that some of that might leak through to this life, which would help me in being able to write my books to describe what Albert wanted to reveal to everyone. So that was sort of the connection. He didn't go into great detail. He said, when you cross back over here, you'll get all the details right in front of you, and you remember everything that we had discussed before you were born.
Wow, that's just absolutely amazing. One of the questions I have, and I don't know if it's ever crossed the minds of any of our listeners as well, is all of our loved ones we say are in heaven, have gone to this other side. Now, is is there a separate place where, like, say, angels and archangels and deities and I mean, it can go on and on, you know, the different kingdoms. Is everybody all together, or is there a hierarchy, or how is it all laid out?
Well, as far as I could tell, people are all basically in the same place, because in some of my travels I encountered angels, including my guardian angel. I encountered the goddess of Zeta at one time, and she was just sort of, nearby the main city there that I visited, called Aglaya. So they all seem to be more or less in the same spot, at least when I was there anyway. There is no hierarchy. There's no sort of one soul that's more special than any other souls. They're all considered equal, although some souls are just a bit more advanced in their evolution. So it's very much like a student in kindergarten is not, or a high school senior is not considered to be better than a student in kindergarten. They're just further along the path and further, and in terms of formal education. So that's how souls view each other there. So there's no sort of a hierarchy where I'm better than you kind of thing. We're all equal, but some of us are just more advanced.
Absolutely astounding. I think this is terrific. And is there any advice or suggestions on people who want to invoke or be able to talk to their spirit guides more directly themselves? Just sort of like Candace was sharing earlier about how you could be your own medium. How can people kind of have some of these tools for themselves if it is possible?
Well, it's not possible for everyone. Albert says that my contact with him is sort of a one-off thing to allow me to write my books. But everyone has guides, and all those guides are always sending everyone messages. So everyone gets messages, but they're usually very subtle, like intuitive flashes, whispers in your mind, gut feelings, that kind of thing. And the trouble for most humans is to be able to hear the messages and understand what they are, because our mind is so cluttered with so many other thoughts. So what he says to me is the best thing is to sit quietly, try to do some meditation, try to get rid of the clutter in your minds, and to the extent that you can do that, you'll be better able to hear what your guides are telling you, because they're always coaching us. They're always telling us which way that they would like us to go based upon what's in our life plan. If we listen carefully, we'll be able to hear these messages and discern what they're saying. But in terms of whether your guides will have a direct dialogue with you like Albert and I did, that's entirely up to them and entirely a matter of what you had intended or what's supposed to happen in your life plan.
Sure, like like you said, a plan, I should say that, but it's really like, is it your divine destiny to go that route? I mean, not everybody is to do that. Other people are to, be famous musicians or actors or spiritual leaders and have ashrams. So everyone has their path, and that's what makes this world so unique. So thank you so much for being here and showing your unique path and offering this wonderful opportunity for people to explore more about your experience with Albert. And again, you can go to our website, ZetaGlobalRadio.com, as well as our Facebook page. We will post all the different ways to reach Garnet Schulhauser and find out ways to get the book, Dancing on a Stamp, Dancing Forever with Spirit, and, of course, the one coming out in 2016. Remind me of the title again, Garnet?
Dance of Heavenly Bliss.
I love it. All right. Well, thank you so much for calling in from beautiful Victoria. I have friends that live on that island. How's the weather there, by the way, right now? It's cold?
No, it's not too bad. It was raining yesterday. Today it's kind of sunny, so it's probably about in the mid-40s.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not too bad. Yeah, we've had snow here in the land of enchantment. So I've been very enchanted with you and everything you've had to share. And again, we appreciate you so much for sharing your time here on Zeta Global Radio.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Lainie.
Thank you. All right. That's it for our show here. I hope you enjoyed it and were able to glean some healing, some settling in your being, and some great new ways to connect to the other side. And I wish you a wonderful rest of your weekend. Take care.